Eyeless, a short story from the collection entitled The Book of Eldritch Whispers by E.S. Wynne. When the lights go out, I reach for the knife. Already I can hear it, can hear the scuff and clatter of the thing moving through the cabin. The hair at the back of my neck prickles. My hand shakes, touches steel. Something shatters. I can't see, but I close my eyes anyway, squeeze them against tears born of terror. And then the lights come back on and I'm alone again. Shaking, I glance around the one-room cabin, knife held tight in white-knuckled hands. Nothing. The shards of a broken plate sprawl across the floor near the sink. The only proof, the only evidence that something was in here with me. The only evidence that I'm not totally crazy. No point in getting up, no point in looking for the thing that broke the plate. The cabin is small enough, open enough, that nothing would be able to hide out of my sight. There are no walls or corners to duck behind. There's no furniture with enough space under it for anything to hide under. I'm alone, and yet somehow I know that I'm not. Never should have moved out here, Robert, I tell myself, and it feels like a well-worn groove on the broken record that is my life. Lots of things I never should have done. Never should have come home early that day, hoping to catch Jeff with his dick in my wife. Hell, never should have even married that tramp. Never should have left school at all, much less 10 credits short of a degree I'll never get now. Bad decisions, just a lot of bad decisions, all leading to a cabin so far out in the boonies that my closest neighbor is a Moses clone who only ever talks about UFOs. UFOs. And the one time he swears he saw Bigfoot. Might be a comfort if he wasn't 15 miles of ungraveled forest road away right now. Might be. It's a miracle that there's electricity out here, that this cabin is wired into the grid at all. No phone, no cell service, no running water, but there's light. Thank God, most of the time there's light. Slowly, uncertainly, I stand up, one hand on the back of my rickety wooden chair, the other clutching the knife. My eyes find the pair of bulbs that light the cabin, the one dual fixture that keeps the darkness at bay. Whatever the thing is, it only moves through the darkness, never seems to come for me otherwise. I've slept with the lights on for weeks now. Slept? Yeah, right. I can't remember the last time I actually slept. During the day, maybe. In the mornings, when I finally feel safe enough to nap. Weeks. I push shaky fingers through my greasy, dirty hair. Weeks since I've been into town, since I've talked to anyone, since I've had a shower. The first night the lights went out, the first night I heard the thing moving through the cabin, I knew I had to leave, I knew I couldn't stay, but by the time morning came, every tire on my truck had been slashed, and the tank had been torn open as if by talons, by massive, impossibly sharp talons. Nearest town is Fairview, 25, maybe 30 miles away. Hell of a walk, but with food running low and snow coming any day, it's looking better and better all the time. Maybe in the morning, I tell myself. Maybe tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. 2 cup noodles, 1 tin of sardines. I lick my lips, run through what I have left. Not sure about the sardines. Couple of ketchup packets. That's all I've got left. It has to be tomorrow. I might get by one more day with what I have, but if the snow starts coming down... Something moves at the corner of my eye, shifts through the darkness just outside the window, fleeting as a shadow, but the squeak of wet flesh against glass as it lurches back into the night is undeniable. A shiver shoots through my arms, through my skin, and then the lights flare, go out again. Every muscle in my body goes tense. Teeth grit hard, and when I hear the tinkling of something stumbling through the plate shards on the floor, I spin toward it, knife ready, blade toward whatever is in the darkness with me. Wet and throbbing, the sound of flesh smacking against wooden wall, against the ceiling, feet pattering across the roof, I shout, scream some wordless sound, and in the night something shouts back. Loud. Inhuman. I've never heard anything like it. A shriek, the high, keening howl of some rippling, jagged-toothed animal maw. And then there are dozens of them. Dozens of answering calls rising up from the woods around the cabin. Rising, deafening, terrifying. Yet none of them are as terrifying as the low, chittering growl that comes from something in the cabin with me. It's loud, close, too close, inches. And then the lights come back on and I'm alone again. Wide-eyed, I stare at the open air where the thing must have been only moments ago. Every hair on my body is erect as if electrified, and as I turn slowly to regard the corners of my little cabin, I notice the way the plate shards have been scattered. I notice the way the little throw rug by my cot has bunched up as if something tripped over it. All is silent, but the memory of the haunting calls that echoed through the night only moments before stays with me. Whatever it is, whatever they are, there are so many of them. So many! Fingers clutch the knife the way a dying man might clutch a life raft. I don't wait. I don't set the knife aside. I work quickly, rip the sheets and blankets off the cot, and wrap the last of my food in a makeshift sack. I check my wallet before I jam it into my pants. A few dollars, 2 credit cards I maxed out and stopped paying months ago. Not enough for a hotel room, for anything other than a candy bar and a phone call. But it doesn't matter. I'd rather sleep in a doorway in Fairview than spend another night out here, in this cabin, waiting for whatever hunts me in the darkness to make its kill. I'm still shaking by the time I decide I've gathered everything I need for the road ahead. Clothes, light and open for the jog into town. Clothes, heavy and thick for the nights I might have to spend on the streets of Fairview. 3 water bottles, all filled with what's left in the bucket I got from the well down the road a day or so ago. My address book, my dead, deactivated cell phone, my charger, a few other things that might come in handy. I checked my watch, but there are still hours to go before dawn. Hours! And, as if in answer, I hear a scream from the woods that chills my blood to ice. Hours! Jesus. What if tonight's the night, I wonder? What if the next time the lights go out, and then, suddenly, they do? Movement comes reflexive. I hurl myself backwards, jam myself up against the nearest wall. Something thrums wet and loud across the ceiling of the cabin, leaves cabinet doors clacking in its wake. I can feel it moving. I can feel the displacement of the air, the rush and shift, and then it screams. Inches from my face, it screams, and the sound is still alive in the air when the lights flicker back to half their normal brightness, reveal that somehow, impossibly, I am still alone. I can't catch my breath, not at first. The sound of the howl still rings in my ears, drives me to move, to scatter furniture, to grab the cot and upend it. Terrified, desperate, I drag every piece of furniture I have to the corner of the cabin, furthest from any of the windows, try to construct a makeshift wall, a fort, some kind of desperate shell of wood and fabric that I know has no chance of keeping anything at bay, human or otherwise. I do it anyway. I have to. I have to do something. I have to make it to morning somehow. I have to make it to dawn, to sunup. I have to survive. I'm huddled in a shell of junk, blankets, and trash when the lights go out again. My breath catches, my eyes go wide, but this time there is no sound. No howling, no shrieking, no movement of wet limbs against thin and hollow walls, no stirring in the darkness. When breath comes, it comes slow, quiet, almost reluctant. Desperate, I strain to hear even the slightest of sounds, but there is nothing. Nothing. Not even crickets. Not even wind. I don't know how much time passes. I don't dare light up my watch to check the time. If something is out there still, if something is hunting me, the last thing I want to do is... I blink, hesitate. Something is wrong. It's too dark to see, but something has changed. The cocoon I've built around myself has a very specific feel to it. Scratchy wool on my arms, smooth, cold Formica desk pressing into my left arm, iron caster wheels of a chair pressing into my right foot. Something cold, hard, pressing in against my cheek. And then it moves. The scream comes entirely on reflex. I can't hold it back. Immediately tear at the clammy flesh, pressing in against my face, the webbed fingers scratching, trying to seize me by the nose, by an ear. Junk flies, scatters, furniture squeals against the wooden floor, and then there's something in the breach of my cocoon, something with 1,000 flailing limbs, something wild and primal cloaked in the scent of rotting meat, screaming, ripping through my clothes. Mad with fear, I kick at the thing over and over again, hurl myself at it, knock it sprawling against the floor in an insane tangle of spidery limbs, and then I'm out the door, sprinting, running as hard as I can through the trees, the night, screaming, screaming. And by the time I realize my mistake, it's too late. Hours before dawn, hours, and I'm outside. Something trips me, drops me face first against the rough bark of a tree. My ears ring with the impact. Everything around me is a spinning blur of black. Hands reach out, catch the tree, use it to try to steady my rubbery legs, drag me back to my feet, and then I'm clinging to it, clinging to the crumbling bark. Behind me, I hear a shriek rise up out of the night, loud and long. Terrified, I look back, catch the outline of the cabin, as the lights come on again just for a moment, just long enough to taunt me with the distance. When they die again, it comes quick. Sudden. Lights flashing out at the last moment to show every writhing silhouette, every toothy, eyeless face screaming at the stars between the safety of the cabin and the endless night ahead of me. I don't dare turn around. I do the only thing that makes sense. I run. I run as hard as I can into the night. And even as the hunting shrieks echo through the darkness around me, even as the long howling calls claw at the sky, at the trees, cut into my sanity, I know that somehow I am alone. I am alone, and yet I am not. I am alone, screaming as I hurl myself into oblivion, a voice in a hellish chorus that closes like a knot around me, the further, the faster I run. When I fall again, when I pitch head first down a ravine and collapse against the rough, cold stones of a dry ditch, I know that the running is over. They're on me in seconds, tearing at me, shrieking into my skin, stripping away everything that I am, every scrap of sanity until there is nothing left, until I am gone, eyeless in the darkness, eyeless and shrieking, eyeless and alone, no longer human, but one of them now.